This is Chatterbinge. Here's Ed Kalegi.
She is an actress, singer-songwriter, and musician, best known in acting circles for her roles as Claire Kincaid in Law and Order, Ginny Rohr in City on a Hill, and of course, as Jordan Kavanaugh in Crossing Jordan. Currently, she can be seen in the role of Hattie Quinn in the new Hallmark Plus series Hope Valley 1874. It is great to say hello to Jill Hennessy. Jill, welcome to Chatterbinge.
Thank you so much for having me. Great to be here, man.
It is great to have you on. This show is a prequel to the Hallmark hit series When Calls the Heart. So let me start here. Jill,
Yes.
Tell us a bit about Hope Valley 1874 and about your character, Hattie.
Okay, well, Hope Valley 1874 is actually set in 1874 in a community kind of north of the American border in the West, the Pacific Northwest, where there was nothing. Basically, there's a trading post and a dilapidated boarding house. And my character, Hattie, happens to run the trading post. So she's kind of a tough broad, you know, she's no nonsense. She deals with a lot of conflict with a good sense of humor, and is the hub of this community. So and she's raising it with her young daughter. Her husband has recently passed. So she finds herself sort of struggling and yet realizing she's actually kind of good at what she's doing. And then into town comes a woman named Rebecca, played by Joy Lenz, who is absolutely lovely. And they sort of spark a friendship. And what's cool about this show, too, is that there's so many great relationships because literally at this time, you had to depend on each other. Everybody is just reaching out to help each other build a house or put up their tent properly or, you know, just provide them with food. And it was nice to sort of go to work every day to a positive environment with really positive content, but also really nice actors and crew. So it was a joy.
The show, as we've said, is set in 1874. So how much fun is it to work within a period piece such as this?
It's really fascinating. And I got to give credit to the wardrobe woman, Barbara, on this, because she did a killer job and she was a stickler for authenticity. So all the women, we were wearing the corsets, we had the petticoats, bustles. I kind of needed the bustle, to be honest. I'm a little, you know, I needed curves. I needed the curves. So, but it puts you right back there, man. You realize what people went through, particularly women in this kind of clothing, trudging through mud, dealing, no plumbing, no electricity, no iPhones in your hand. It gave you a lot of sympathy for what folks were dealing with at that point. And it was just a fascinating study of what life could be like back then. And yet, how joyful it could be, too.
Sure.
For the small victories, man, small daily victories.
Yeah. You mentioned iPhones. It's also a challenge for the continuity people because when it's time to say action, you got to make sure all of the iPhones are put away because, as we all know, back in 1874, the iPhone still had rotary dials. So, you know, you got to do what you got to do to keep things going on set.
That's a valid point, Ed.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
You mentioned a few moments ago that your character is one tough broad. I remember reading in the press notes as I prepared for our conversation, the character is described as a tenacious pioneer woman. And it leads me to this. In everything you do, how do you begin to build a character? What is your process in fleshing out what you see in the breakdown?
Wow. Well, for this, originally, I did some research on women who ran trading posts. And I thought there couldn't have been a lot of women running trading posts in 1874 in the Pacific Northwest. Little did I know. There were actually many women, particularly Métis and First Nation women, because you needed somebody with great relationships with the First Nation tribes, with the fur trappers who were there at this point. So it was kind of fascinating to learn all that. But so I usually do research, but also you go into their emotional history. Here's a woman who just lost her husband. She's got a daughter who's now of marrying age. And I think she's innately terrified of losing her because she's all she has in this world. But then she sees this new woman coming into town. She feels like, okay, finally somebody I can actually talk to and relate to. This woman, Rebecca, played by Joy Lenz, also is a widow, also has a young daughter. And I feel like she's realizing, man, I really need that kind of relationship in my life because I have not had that in years. So it's kind of fun to play that.
One of the things that I like most about this show, and you mentioned it a moment ago, is all of the relationships And television, episodic television, has really evolved in this way, Jill. It's become much more sophisticated. It's more than just one main character and a few different relationships. There are all of these dovetailing relationships that make for this ensemble, and I just think it makes for a much better experience. I think it's fascinating how television has evolved in that way to be able to tell stories a lot like films have in the past. It's really ratcheted up over the last 10, 20, 25 years, has it not?
Yeah, very much so. I think there's so much quality content in TV right now, streamed and cable.
Yeah.
And you brought up a really good point, because in television, you've got the opportunity to really develop characters and develop those relationships. And particularly on a show like Hope Valley 1874, everybody's so intertwined. I mean, there's great female relationships, but there's great male and female relationships. I'm actually good friends with the lead, Tom, played by Benjamin Ayres, who is a sweetheart to work with. But how many times do you see actually a real friendship between a man and a woman in a film or TV? It's just so lovely to see and so much fun to play, too.
Yeah. It's a very good point. You don't see that very often. One of the things that I've always admired about you is that you have carved out this very versatile career: singer, songwriter, music artist, actress. And what comes to mind to me when it comes to your singing career is your residency at the City Vineyard in New York City, not to mention a January performance not too far from me at the Count Basie Theater in Red Bank, New Jersey, where you performed with Bruce Springsteen. Tell me about that, because singing with Springsteen anywhere near the Jersey Shore is akin to singing in heaven with God, is it not?
It literally is akin to singing in heaven with God. You could not have described that better, and especially in a hallowed space like the Count Basie Theater. That was I'm still riding that high, to be honest. And God bless Bruce. I mean, he shows up for the Light of Day Foundation, and he's a big part of its foundation, actually, its creation. So occasionally he'll show up live by surprise. And I wasn't sure if he was going to come this time, and I did my set. I sang one of my songs, Aaron. I sang a cover of No Surrender. Little did I know that up after me was going to be Willie Nile, incredible New York rocker. And I love Willie. I've played with him before. Willie goes up. He's playing one guitar, one of his big signature songs. And I feel somebody pushing beside me in the wings of the Count Basie, because I'm just watching and bopping in the wings. And it's Bruce. And he goes out center stage. He starts playing with Willie. But I realize there's one empty mic, and it's close to me on stage left. So I look at Tony Pellegrassi, who's the event organizer. I'm like, Tony, there's an empty mic. Do you think I could go out there? And he said, Jill, you better get your butt out there and start singing, man. So I'm like, okay. So I jumped out, and I love that song. So I'm just screaming out the choruses and doing harmonies and stuff. And there's Bruce right to my right, singing, for dear life. He's just slaying on the stage. And it was just one of those moments in life where it's like, okay, I'm in heaven right now, and I don't want to leave this space. It was pretty cool.
How cool is that? And you know what? There's a lesson there. When you see an open mic in life, take it.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, Ed, I love the way you phrased that. That 100%, man.
Yeah.
100%.
I think about your versatility, and there's that word again, and what you do with music and what you do with acting. How does one help the other? All of this versatility and the ability to do things and do it well and practice that individual craft, does that help in other elements and things that you do?
100%. I mean, the music has been very therapeutic for me. I started off as a street musician, just covering people like Bruce, like Tracy Chapman, The Cure, Radiohead, the Indigo Girls and stuff. And then I started writing on my own. And that was a catharsis for me. Writing is very therapeutic. So my songs are pretty, autobiographical, story-driven. And what I'm doing at the Vineyard right now is sort of the prep or workshop for hopefully a one-woman show a la Springsteen on Broadway. And because a lot of my songs have a very chronological narrative from before I was born to present day. And I thought, man, this might actually make a good show. I've got the whole chronology here. You might be able to do this.
It is quite a journey that continues. And once again, the new series that Jill is in right now is Hope Valley 1874, the prequel to When Calls the Heart. New episodes drop Thursdays on Hallmark Plus. Jill Hennessy, I've really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for joining us here on Chatterbinge.
Oh, Ed, you are wonderful. Thank you so much.
Have a great day. Take care.
Yeah, you too.
She is quite a talented performer in everything that she does, and she's had her own series, and then going all the way back to Law and Order, now with Hope Valley 1874. But I wanted to get into her music because she mentioned Tracy Chapman. She has written and performed many original works, and to me, you can see that DNA and the way there is the connection there. It's just very soulful. What she does in her music career to me is just tremendous. But that opportunity, you see that open mic, and there's Springsteen in Red Bank singing on the stage. If you don't go out there and just let it all go, you regret it the rest of your life. Lesson learned. I'm Ed Kalegi.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
Remember when Marconi invented radio? Well, this is really what he had in mind. From Audio One.
This is Chatterbinge.
And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can always catch our best guest conversations and segments right here on the YouTube home of Chatterbinge.